Hey guys, welcome back to episode 7 for Alternators Talk and Tea with John here, the owner of Redline Specialist Cars. How are you doing today?
Thanks for that, Sam. Yeah, welcome everybody.
So in today's episode we're going to pretty much go over how John and Rob started the company, some of the difficulties that they may have had when they started, if there are any, if it was smooth running. I doubt it was smooth running. No?
There's just a few.
Yeah, and give you guys some tips on the entrepreneurial starting grounds of how to get started if you were starting your own business. Obviously, probably not necessarily in this industry, but in your own industry, whatnot. So, do you want to give a rundown of when did the company start?
1998. We started with a small forecourt over in the local village. We started with 20-25 cars. We worked in cars before, but we always were quite enthusiastic about sports, hot hatches, and it was quite a rich period for it then, going back into the old 205 GTIs.
Yeah.
The M3s, Civic Type Rs, all that sort of stuff. And of course we only had a limited budget. We actually started Redline with £25,000 between us.
Wow.
So yeah, look how it's grown today. So we started there. We could only advertise in the Auto Trader then, so back in the days, you won't remember, Sam, but back in the days, you used to go on a Thursday morning, get the Auto Trader, open up the magazine, and there was no internet. That's how people bought cars. So we'd sit there waiting for the phone calls, all excited.
I remember the loot.
You remember that?
Was it the loot? Yeah, where you could look through and there was like, you could pick up different things.
But of course, what happened then, back in them days, it was regional. So it would be Yorkshire, Humberside, Midlands, London, South East, South East. So the business was very much a local business. Yeah. And we knew we were doing quite successful at it, and slowly built it up. But what happened then is we sort of outgrew our premises. Hence, in 2006 we had a vision to move from the village we were in. And
where was that?
It was just in Leeds.
Okay.
And so you either moved to a huge sort of warehouse facility, or we became very, very ambitious and we said, look, let's go buy some land and build our own dealership, which we did. Therein lies a very interesting story, because we bought the land, secured the land, and started building March 2008. Yeah. What was 2008 famous for?
Yeah, recession. Yeah.
Credit crunch and recession. So that set its own tests.
So how did you deal with that? Did that bring some?
Well, we had no experience how to deal with it.
Yeah.
No one does, because I don't think anybody's anticipated or expected the nature of what happened there.
Yeah.
I think first and foremost we built this dealership during that time, so certainly from a business perspective there was assets. Yeah. Okay, so when you had to go see a bank about funding and credit lines, at least with an asset they had something they could attach their covenant to. Yeah. Unfortunately or fortunately for us, that we had that, and I think that's why we sort of survived it, because we had an asset where they could actually lend us some money to continue in business, and fix it to that. So
how long did this place take to be built then?
It took around about 9 months.
Okay.
9 months.
And before that, so whilst that was all going on, was you still at your previous location? Okay, so business continued. It didn't shut down for 9 months.
No. So business continued. We did both, and actually, this was completed in October 2008. Yeah. And sat empty. Obviously, it looked incredible, as you can imagine. A brand new building sat empty. Yeah. And then it was time to move in. I mean, I think we had 40 cars then. Yeah. So we all one night got a team of staff, friends, family, and drove all the cars over from Leeds on 3 or 4 little runs. Yeah. Tried to spread them out, because you've seen the size of the place. Yeah. It's a little bit daft, to be honest with you. And
there's loads of space.
And then moved in and thought, what on earth have we done? Incredibly ambitious, but I like that. Incredibly challenging. Again, we like that. But it was always the right decision to do, and we had a plan.
Yeah, and was there any point where you thought maybe we should just stay with the previous location whilst this whole recession was happening and so on and so forth?
Well, potentially yes. That you could default and think that, but of course you're committed. So one thing you do when you're committed is you deal with it. And we went, right, let's get in, let's move in. It was always the right decision to do it, and rightly or wrongly, there's never a good time to do something. So we went, look, let's go do it, let's move in, let's crack on. And to be fair, we went straight off and started selling cars. So a lot more than we hadn't been done before. And I think the only thing that hampered us over the next sort of 2 or 3 years, so from 08 to 11, was just the lack of sort of credit facilities, because the banks and the funding institutions were still not lending, being very particular, and of course there was still a great degree of uncertainty. Yeah.
Wow, incredible. So what was your background before you actually started? Because before you had the 20 cars, what was your background before that?
I was a chef.
Was you?
Yes, yeah.
So you went
I told you that?
No. Oh. So you went from a chef to selling cars?
Yeah.
How's that happen then?
Right, well, I can't believe I haven't told you that.
No.
Young family at home. To be fair, I always worked hard, and I think that's the secret to any success, is you've got to work hard, nothing comes easy. But it certainly wasn't very fashionable back then. You know, there weren't the Gordon Ramsays and the Jamie Olivers at the time. And you just got paid peanuts, if I'm honest with you. So I was doing it for 2 or 3 years, and I thought, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this? And I saw an advert literally in a paper, if anyone remember one of them, there was a local paper.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it, it's a trainee sales executive. And it was at a Ford garage in Harrogate, and Karen, my wife, said, go on, apply for it. And I went, shall I? Yeah. And I did. And before I knew it, I had an interview, and got the job. I mean, from their perspective, they had a policy at the time where they'd take 2 or 3 salesmen on, knowing that maybe one would see it through and a couple fail. It's a little bit ruthless, but you know, that's how they did things then. And luckily, I took to it like a duck to water.
So was you the one out of the 3?
Yeah, thankfully. Thankfully. And that started my career in selling cars, and probably talking to people. I've always been very sociable with talking to people, and I enjoyed it. I didn't mind working the long hours. I enjoyed the money, because as you can imagine, I was a chef, not earning a lot of money, so suddenly you're able to, like any sales job, you're able to affect your earnings by being dynamic, working hard, and delivering bonus and results. So, you know, the family was happy, I was bringing home good wages, and then really within a couple of years I'd worked the way to being the top salesman, you know, so I was very, very happy. But then I got headhunted, and that's how we ended up here really. I got headhunted and we went to work for another local dealer who was setting up a small independent dealership that's since not there now anymore, but got working with Rob. And
so is that where, how did you meet Rob then?
He was already working there.
Okay.
So Rob was he was 16 when I met him.
Wow.
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
He had his 42nd birthday last week, and we hit it off. Loved cars, and Rob had a drive that I've never seen before. You know, he just was enthusiastic. His love for cars. I mean, even now, product knowledge is incredible. Passionate. Everything he does revolves around cars. You know, his whole life, he eats, sleeps, and lives it. So that was quite nice, and I think a bit of maturity that I bring with that. We decided to set this up, and the rest is history, really.
So, did you set this up then from just your own backing, both of you? So your own savings and everything. You set up and you went to the first location, had your 25 cars.
Yes, I had our 25 cars. At the time, they were all cheaper cars. As I say, we had 25 grand.
Yeah, so can we grab? Can we see that photo? Because there's one up there, isn't there?
Press that over there, if you don't.
Yeah, that. Because that's actually, isn't that one of? Is that yours or is that?
That's us in the year 2000.
So that's all of yours there.
That's 18 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the 97p Rover. Yeah, you got a Porsche here, 944.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Some great hot hatches.
Yeah, I was just Ford Escort. You got the Ford Escort RS. And there's some little beautiful. I think hold that up close. Can you see that on the camera, Shaz? So that's pretty much where, and you keep this as like a reminder of where.
You know what? I put it up there because I find it very nostalgic. But not only that, I love to show customers because they can walk around here now.
Yes. And
see some of the cars that are in here, and I think they need to all know that where we've come from as a business it is there, and how hard we've worked for. Well, that's 20 years ago now. 20 years to get here.
Yeah, that is incredible. So we usually try to get 5 tips from them. So in regards to being an entrepreneur, and what I think you've given some tips already, quite in that whole kind of talk that you've just given. But what if you was to give us one tip that these guys, if they want to be entrepreneurs and take away for starting, what would you say is probably the main tip that if you could go tell that 16-year-old Rob just starting out again with yourself at that point? What would you say? Don't bother.
I think I've used the word work hard too many times, so I can't use that as my one tip.
I think that goes about.
You'll know that with your business. The foundation is hard work. The one tip would be, God, it's not like 2 or 3 together, isn't it? It's combining some. I would say follow your heart. Yeah. Because if you believe in something, you should be able to make it work.
Yeah.
If you believe so deep down that you're going to be successful and you're going to go do that, I think if you're determined enough, I don't know, it's more than one thing, but if you're determined enough to make it happen, you've got to make it happen. There you go, that's it. Make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen. So that's tip number 1, make it happen. If you believe in it enough, then you'll go ahead and achieve it. I think that's a great one. I think that kind of proves that as well when you had the recession, go through the credit crunch and recession, that you basically said that we kind of pretty much had no choice. It was already committed. So you have to, you solely believed in what you was doing and you fully committed to achieving that.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, you felt like you were staring down the barrel of a gun. But I think back in the day there was, a song that, I get knocked down, I get back up again.
Yeah.
And you really, at some times in business, have to dig deep and remember that.
Yeah.
But if you believe in yourself, seriously, you'll overcome anything.
So what happened to the dealership that both you and Rob met at?
They're still going, would you believe? It's a franchise in Harrogate, so that's still there as a business.
Okay, still there. Yeah. So in this industry, is it very competitive, or
Yeah, I mean we're in a different part. I mean, you've got the motor industry itself, which is obviously made up of loads of main dealers, franchise dealers. We're, I suppose, in the sports car, specialist car arena. It is competitive, but the one thing that's changed, particularly the last 20 years, is the internet.
Yeah.
So the business now is a nationwide business because, like yourself, you're from Watford.
Yeah.
You're up here today buying cars from us in Harrogate. People go, well, how's that work? Well, A, you get referrals, B, people you like to deal with, or it could just be that, we've got the car that you want in red with the alloys you want. So with the internet, you've got a lot more choice, which means you've got to be a lot better at what you do. Look after people to the highest standard, customer service and everything, and just make sure that you deliver the product they want.
What do you think makes Redline stand above other dealers?
I think it's that we actually. I can't really swear on. I was going to say we actually do care. I think we've always had high morals. I always treat a customer how I'd like to be treated. Always be sincere, totally transparent. I think customers have got to understand you've got a business to run, you have to make a profit. Sometimes you have to remind that customers, because occasionally customers want too much and you say, I can't do that, I still have a business to run and we have got to make a margin.
Yeah.
But I think if you talk to customers properly, explain where your reasoning and where you are, and try and give them a good deal and make them feel like they've been looked after, I think that you'll have a customer for a long period of time.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, I 100% agree with that. I think the customer service is amazing. I think that's one thing that I noticed early on with the business. But I also think that there's a smart realising that I think most other car dealers, what they do is they chase the one sale. What they don't realise is that if they have a great service, that person, once they're finished with that car or they want another car, they're going to go back to the person that treated them well. Yeah. So you get that repeat business. If you found that your retention is quite high, so you don't just have a one-off sale, you have continuous.
It's incredibly high. I mean, we primarily sell a depreciating asset, which doesn't give us a great head start.
Yeah, exactly.
But what you can do is, every so often, we have to take a bit of medicine ourselves for the benefit of a long-term relationship. It's not just selling new cars. It's selling, we know you sold your mum one.
Yeah.
We sold your business partners one. We sold some of the yield coin partners cars. Yeah. So it does actually, referrals is the best. Whilst everybody's chasing business, the strongest business you can get is someone who refers, because it means you're a trusted source of business. Yeah. And trust is everything.
Yeah. Some people say your Google reviews are too good.
You know what? We work really hard on that. I beat the sales labs up nicely every day because I insist they get them. But we've just done a handover in a minute ago, and I put my head round to the customer and said, 5-star review please, is everything all right? And every so often I see one come where occasionally we let a customer down or something's happened, and I go, oh thank God we've got one to show that they're all real. Because we do put it out there, we do hang ourselves out there to be criticised, and every so often, you know, something goes awry. But on the whole, if someone has an issue, we try and deal with it. You can't always win. You know, we are selling things with 2,000 moving parts. So unfortunately, we didn't manufacture them either, but we seem to get the pelters when it's due. But you know, we really try hard. And if you sift through the 800 reviews we've got, you might find one or two where we have let people down. But if you're big enough and bold enough to contact them and say, look, sorry, shouldn't have happened. That's what we try and do. I think that's the point, isn't it? Just answering it and always showing that you're there. It's I was looking at some of the reviews. The majority of them are all outstanding reviews. The odd one is like, oh, I was in the showroom and no one came and saw me. You know, like it is. But it does get frustrating as a business owner. You're a business owner. Occasionally, you know, something does get missed, and there's nothing more frustrating than that. Feeling like a customer hasn't been had the full attention. But the one thing that we've always done here is whether you're buying a £20,000 Audi, a £200,000 car, everyone gets treated the same. And I think that's probably the one reason why our reviews are so good, because we do not differentiate. Everyone's a customer. So you went from 25 cars. Do you remember what the value of those 25 cars was? That's like a rough tip. Well, it was 25 grand to start with, and I remember a momentous occasion when we got it to 40,000. We came into this dealership, we built it up to £600,000 worth of cars. Obviously as the car levels, the values went up, so we came in with £600,000 worth of cars, and the place really did look a fifth full. So it was a really bit bizarre, because it is quite a big site. And where are we at today? Well, the big explosion for us was in 2014, so it took from 2008 to 14, 6 years to get properly funded. When our partners Lombard came along and looked after us for a proper credit facility. Today we're at 14 million and 200 cars, so it's changed a little bit. And we're just about fitting them out for front. We've got nowhere to put them all now. We're measuring millimetres between cars now to get them out. So you've got to be a good driver to get in and out of the place as well. So but going forward, we've got lots of plans, lots of really great, exciting developments that we're on with at the minute. So you know, watch this space this next year. Awesome. So we've got one tip. Well, let's go for number 2. What's the second tip that we could get? Number 2. Be honest. Be truthful. Be honest. Be truthful. I know there's 2 there, but I think that's the same thing. You know, if you're going into business and you're going to engage with customers, end users, be honest and truthful. Okay. Let's go for 3 whilst we're. I was going to say morals, but that sort of comes along with the truthful bit, doesn't it? Don't be afraid to whatever you do. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Advice. Listen to the advice. I know there's 2 or 3 in one there. But when people, don't get me wrong, there's always lots of advice coming in. You have to choose what you listen to. But never be afraid to listen to everything and then soak it up and make of what you want to make of it. But Did you have, or you or Rob, did any of you have a mentor or anything like that helped you grow your business? We had a couple of key people. We didn't have a mentor. We just stood back to back and fought like Butch Cassidy the Sundance Kid. You know, we were just battling all the time. What we did have, we had an ally in our bank manager called Chris, who believed in us and believed in the business and liked myself and Rob and trusted us. And that made a massive difference, particularly at the difficult financial times. So we had a bank manager that really did look after us. Do you think if you were to do it all again now, that you would have that relationship with a bank manager now? I think you would perhaps struggle. Things have changed 10 years later. I think the credit crunch and the financial crisis made things change at banks. So there's a lot less probably communication and maybe mandate. But I think going forward it'd be more difficult. You know, I think it's probably quite
that relationship of trust without really knowing. It's almost like they was taking a risk at the time.
Well, they had to get you. The one thing Chris did, the thing that's different with Chris, is he got to know myself and Rob and understand the business.
Yeah.
So he stepped over the threshold of just being a bank manager, because he says, if I'm going to be a bank manager that can deliver what you need, I've got to understand your business.
Yeah.
And that's what made the difference. He took the time to do that.
Yeah, he did. He understood what he was doing and everything. So would you say now that the cars have, they've moved definitely up to supercars, or even some hypercars, do you feel that now if there was another recession that you would potentially be hit, or do you think that those purchases are actually above that? And
well, it's interesting. I think after going through 08, I don't think I'll ever see that again. Because this time the banks are awash with cash. They're pinned up. The banking crisis wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I think that the marketplace that we're in is a little bit under a bit of an umbrella, because we deal with people probably who are successful, maybe always going to be successful, businesses that are successful. I think all that might happen is we might sell a few cars less a month. But again, if you step. What would happen is we'd just step up to the plate and go to the next level in effort. We would try and make up anything that would be down by just working harder and putting more effort in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't see it.
So should that be tip number 4 then? So when things get a bit rainy,
the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Yeah. Say that one again.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
The tough get going. Okay. I like that. So basically, I mean, you've gone to the hypercar range now. You've got the 918 Spider, and you've also got the Bugatti Veyron. Are those, is there a lot of interest around those at the moment? How's that going?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are buying them cars to add as part of a collection. You get a few people that actually want to drive them. It's quite nice when you see one who wants to drive one rather than just stick it away in a collection.
Yeah.
But there's certainly, with a new breed of cars, these things are becoming very popular, very collectible. Certainly a safe place for your money.
And they're turning into an investment, aren't they?
Yeah. The classics have done well the last few years. What's doing well in our market is very limited run specialist cars. So, some of these cars that our customers are getting offered, there's perhaps only 25 being made.
Yeah.
So if you're the customers looking to have one of them, don't get me wrong, we don't encourage them to sell them, but if they come on the market, the demand's incredibly high.
Yeah.
And the potential for return is huge. So people are buying them. We've got people with collections that are in the hundreds now, would you believe?
I mean, that's been quite I think for someone like myself, I'm not exactly car savvy, as I'm sure some of you guys will see throughout the footage of getting the cars that I have today, but some of these cars are actually turned into an investment in themselves. What, for example, can you give an example of what a car could return as an investment, or an ideal car to kind of that's going up in value? Yeah,
I mean, some of the cars, you'll buy them, you probably have to hold them a period of maybe say 5 years. So, the Veyron out there, that's probably circa 1.5 million pounds. In 07 was 600,000.
Okay, wow.
So you work that out as an 11-year appreciation. There's only a number of them cars. We think probably in 10 years' time that goes from 1.4 to 2 million.
Yeah.
So as a percentage return, it's a great return. You've got some of these cars, as I say, that are very, very limited production cars that can make an instant return for people, because you're going to have the individuals that want to purchase them and have them part of the collection, but potentially couldn't get on the list.
Yeah.
So there's some revenue there. There's as I said, there's a lot of high net worth individuals out there who can get these cars and they just disappear into collection. So it's just nice to see some of them come up.
Yeah, actually be used as a car. So that's a fact that cars can be seen as a long-term investment, specifically the collectible ones that are limited edition, or I suppose some like hypercars.
Yeah. You've also got a lot of cars, and if people want to ring us for advice, you've got a lot of cars that you can enjoy that don't necessarily depreciate as much as people think.
Yeah. Like the Turbo S.
Certainly the Turbo S has been a great one. Brilliant car for that, to be fair, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You've got some wonderful cars where they get to a certain age that tend to hold the value static. So, if anybody wants any advice, ring us and say, look, I'm thinking about buying one of these. What's the future hold?
Yeah.
What's your opinion? What do you think it'll be worth in 2 or 3 years? 5 years, 10 years, whatever they plan to do with it. You know, we're always here to give advice on that as well.
Yeah. So we need one more tip. Yeah, we need one more tip from you to help out the audiences want to be entrepreneurs or are entrepreneurs in the making. What is your 5th tip that you would give?
Help. I think I've given about 20 in 5.
Yeah. The last one, most important one.
If you've got a business partner, always stand by, trust him, never rip him off. Treat him as part of the family.
Yeah,
that's a massive thing for people who have fellow directors in their business, partners, shareholders. Again, comes back to being honest and truth, and you know, in business, always work as a team. There you go. Yeah, teamwork.
Work as a team. To make sure that your business partner basically.
Right to your investors, your shareholders, your business partners. Always work as hard as them, and always be honest.
Yeah, because obviously that guy's, you're both rooting for the same thing, really, aren't you? You're both trying to get the same thing.
A lot of businesses go awry when they go off on a tangent. People, you've got to have your plan, stick to it, and be on the same page. That's mega important in any business.
Yeah,
mega important.
It's just making sure that you both are. You know, it's a good point actually, because some people hit things at 2 different angles, and it doesn't necessarily click. And they go.
You've still got to try and come back to the same angle, even if you have different ideas.
Yeah.
You've still got to have the one common goal between you, because as you say, as soon as that splinters, you've got some problems, haven't you? Because you just don't need that.
Awesome. So I think that's pretty much it. So what does any leaks that you can give, or anything that's exciting that's going to be happening in 2019? I mean, any targets, personal or business?
Yeah, we're looking to, we're ignoring everything that's going on in the economy. We're just getting on with our jobs.
Yeah.
Getting on with doing well, looking after our customers. And
I like that.
I hope everyone else is doing the same, because we need to do that. You know, it doesn't matter what, I can't affect what's going on. Let's get on. That's my thing for next year. But yeah, we hopefully at sometime next year we'll have an announcement as to where the business goes next. And what I will do is, as soon as we know and we sort that, this will be the first channel that finds out. How's that?
Oh, awesome! Yeah, we like that. So as soon as we know what's happening, we'll be sure to let you know and be the first to publish that news. That's pretty awesome. So who knows what that could be?
Start guessing.
Yeah. Maybe they're teaming up with Elon Musk and building rockets and selling rockets now to the Russians. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
And I hope you guys have taken some tips away on how to start your own business and things to watch out for on your journey, guys. So don't forget to thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and click the join now button for exclusive content. And I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.